All right. Sweet. We're going to get started. Take your seats. Yeah, you can turn it off if you want to. We don't need it. Yep. All right. Got this thing. Sweet. Cool. Welcome to San Diego Python. You're in the right place. Thanks for coming. I'm David. I'm one of the organizers. Yeah. I want to thank Qualcomm for having us here. Man, that's really bright in my eyes. I'm going to scoot over just slightly to here. I want to thank Qualcomm for having us, the engineering development team there. They've been awesome, and specifically Drew and Urivan, who have kind of smoothed over that process, and they're hosting us here. So that's awesome. I also want to thank my co-organizer, Jeremy, who helps line up the speakers. As a semi-speaker of last resort, you I guess took it before me, so Jeremy's giving a talk today. We're always looking for speakers of all skill levels, so there'll be a link to I'll put it in the chat on the live stream, and I'll send it. It's on sandiegopython.org. You can sign up to give a talk at a future meetup. I also want to note that also want to thank Hobson and Tangible AI for the pizza tonight. So that was super awesome. Thank you. It wasn't on my paper because I printed it out before, Yeah, anyway, but I remembered, so good. Couple small announcements before we get started, but we should get started pretty quick here. The Saturday meetup is meeting Saturdays 10 a.m. And it's meeting online in Discord. So check it out. All the info's on the meetup page. So if you go to meetup.com and you look for San Diego Python, all the info's there. If you're already in the Discord, then you got everything. On sandiegopython.org, you can sign up for the Discord. So that's how you get it. You sign up for the Discord, and then you can attend the 10 a.m. meeting on Saturday. It's a little bit different than this one. It's more of it's online. There's not usually a speaker lineup. It's more of bring your project, chat with people. There's kind of everybody's in one big audio channel on Discord. Kind of how it goes. Anyway, check it out. Our website has our code of conduct. It has a link to YouTube where you can watch the streams if you miss it, or a past stream if you're like, what happened at 2 talks ago or whatever. They're all on our YouTube channel, which is YouTube at San Diego Python, but you can get the link on the website. It also has a link to Discord, the sign up. The Discord has a jobs channel, so if you have a local job for your company or something like that, you could promote it there. You can shout it out now if anybody wants to, but there's 15 people at the meetup, whereas if you look at the jobs channel over the month, that's going to get a lot more traction. Is anybody's company hiring right now? I feel like most companies are going in the opposite direction a little bit, but you got something? All right, so that was Jeremy for the live stream. That was Jeremy looking for people who either know data modeling for the solar industry or Terraform infrastructure type stuff. And it'll be it's already posted the jobs channel, or it will be. Yep. All right, sweet. Did anybody here attend either PyGotham, which was online, or DjangoCon US? Anybody go to that? I didn't this year, sadly. Somebody? No, I thought I saw a hand. Yeah, those happened since our last meetup. So I didn't go, but if anybody had gone, I was going to ask for a brief summary. But I think DjangoCon US literally just finished. The sprints were the early part of this week, so it just wrapped up. It was in Durham in North Carolina. Cool. Also, I wanted to mention, you too can be a speaker. We're always looking for speakers at all skill levels. Doesn't matter, beginning Python issues that you ran into, advanced NumPy, anywhere in between. Looking for anything. It's a 5 to 7 minute talk. You'll survive 100%. You can sign up on the website, sandiegopython.org, and you can sign up to give a talk at a future meetup. So you don't have to give a talk next month in November. you can give a talk in January if you want to. By the way, speaking of November and December, normally we're the 4th Thursday of the month here at San Diego Python. That does not work in November and December. We'll be the 3rd Thursday in the month. Pretty sure we'll be here again both times. I will double check that, but I will. The meetup page will be up to date within like a week or so. But so 3rd Thursday of the month. And for anybody who's watching online, like you can sign up to give a remote talk. So you can do that if you want to. Awesome. And I also want to thank JFrog. They're our sponsor. I don't have a giveaway today. I ran out of them, and I have to get back in touch. They are a DevOps platform for continuous releases. And for example, if you need to host a PYPI, like the package repository, if you need to host one of those inside your company firewall, they have a product for that does that and other things. So check out JFrog if you're interested in that. And I think with no further ados, I think Jason, you're our first speaker. You want to go first? I can push somebody else if you want to go. Second. All right. Jason Koo is going to talk to us about how to quickly make a complex mock data generator app using Streamlit Poetry and other obscure tools. All right. So you want to plug in this thing, and if you need dongles, there's the dongles. But if you just need HDMI, you should be good. And hopefully the audio is good, but I'll check the levels when I'm over here.
All right.
The thing.
Okay, all right. Just give me a moment to hook up my cybernetic connections. Okay, all right. Everyone. Okay, so I don't have slides prepared for today. My 3rd talk of today. So today I'm just walking through this app that I have presented at SD Python in the past. It's been a couple months. So I'm just going to show real quickly what it does, and then really spend more time on what tooling I use. Okay, so I call this the mock graph data generator because I ran out of words to make it a longer title. But it does basically what its descriptive title does, which is it generates mock data, but not just like a table of mock. It generates a bunch of interconnected. So it will either output a bunch of CSV files that are all the data is interlinked, or it will generate a JSON file of the same information. Okay, so this first bit here. So there's 2 ways to design the data. Generally, you're going to want to design it using nodes and relationships, graph or net. That's the simplest way to model really complex. So a little of a really quick sample here. So quick statement. Sharks eat big fish eat small fish eat. Simple graph. This graph doesn't even actually single directional hierarchy. Okay, so now that I have this data, I can actually generate data off of this, but my random generator will probably generate too much random data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this graph that was created into this UI editor. So this app that I'm showing is arrows.app. This is for modeling graph data. I did not build this. I wish I knew how. This is cool. So this is just for quickly creating relationship models. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of reduce the amount of variety that I'm going to have. A single shark.
Is Arrow Python or?
It uses, I think, JavaScript. Or no, it's built on TypeScript variation. Generate the 3 big fish and a random assortment. Okay, and we're going to have each shark will eat, I don't know, between 0 and 3 of these fish. Each big fish will eat 5, 1, 2, give them. Okay, so this is sort of the bare minimum data that I can assign to constrain the amount of data. So because I don't have direct access to this app, I'm just using its export feature. So here you can export, images and whatnot, data. Here I just want the JSON representation, and I'm going to use that as the configuration for the generator. Enter. Okay, so I misspelled something somewhere, and I didn't build a good test to capture that. Okay, so what I'm going to do we'll just load some sample data. So here, I've just got a person, first name, sending some. Okay, so here, look at the generated data. And it's just simple, right? Just UID and yada, yada. Now, if I want to play with this data inside a graph database, just either upload this zip file or I'll just put it directly. Give it about a couple seconds to upload. Then I need to show the Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm logging into a cloud instance of Neo4j, just so I can actually show data from the database side instead of. Oh. Hello, hopefully everyone can hear me now better. Okay, so I'm just gonna have it return everything it's got. And here we see event and people. Oh, that's actually not so helpful. Let's do, oops. So here I'm just changing the query to return to also show the relationships between all the data. So here I've got a bunch of people that have attended an event and they're all different events. Okay, so that's what this app does. Any question about that before I move on to talking about how I built this thing? No?
Summarize, you give some ranges for various members of relationships. That's a big JSON. Put that into go forward. Able to write some queries in data that.
Yes. So then you could start, once if you're familiar with graph databases, you can start querying the database, do some data discovery, data analysis. So the idea originally for me to create this was to quickly populate a graph database with data that was in the shape of somebody's real production data, right? Because asking for production data to throw into a test database is a pretty tall ask, and it's effort, right? So I'm just talking to someone like, okay, you are building an app, you're building a social app that has some extra feature, maybe it has, people. So I can quickly model that up. All right, the idea is that I can quickly model this up. How fast I can do this here. So we have a person who, likes some kind of music, and you want to know what other person may like the same kind of music, right? This is not a very actually interesting graph, but something that can kind of generate very quickly, right? So you want to find out which people are kind of interconnected, right? Like friends of friends, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea was, just so I just export this. People, okay, yeah. So the people don't have names, but you just got UIDs. But if I push this up, a second. Yes, I do know I need to put a progress bar or something. For me, I just watch the code in the back running. I guess I should put that up, and that way you know something's happening. The only indication in Streamlit that it's thinking is this interesting set of graphics that they've chosen that shows that it's doing something in the background. They do have a progress indicator, but I really want a progress indicator like on the button, right? But I'd have to do some custom JS to make it work for this. Okay, so the data set I generated here was probably too big now. So I gotta change the way, the default behavior of the script is if you don't give it a count, it will generate between, 1 and maybe 1,000 records. I need to make that a lot smaller. So as you can see, if the data set is quite large, then this could take a while if you're not working locally. So it is actually still going, I believe. Once I see a count of all the records that it was pushed up, then I know it's done. So anyways. That's a good question. I haven't clocked it yet.
Well, 1,000 things.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't clocked it yet because whenever it's like more than 1,000, I just don't even bother waiting. I just kill it and then I put in the counts. Yeah, something long enough to be. And then if it hits like a connection hiccup, it'll just pause and then wait to load. So anyways, at some point this will finish loading and then I can query in the database. Until it's done, I can't because of the ACID compliance of the database. So it'll just sit there and go like, I'm not going to give you anything until this is done. Well, it'll give me stuff that was already in the database. But before I run the upload, I run a delete basically. So I wipe the database before this upload happens and have a toggle for that.
I didn't realize that.
Yes, has been for many years too. So what am I looking for? Oh yes, so I just have a toggle here like reset or just add. So you could create, several different sessions of mock data and just kind of add to it. But generally I'm talking to lots of different people, so I usually want to wipe it and show a whole new thingamaboob. Okay, I'm not gonna wait for this. All right, so so I originally built a prototype with Streamlit, and if you haven't used Streamlit before, it is a very fast way to develop all my pages here. It's a very fast way to build a shareable web app. They kind of take care of a lot of the UI generation, so they have very certain style of app. Like once you've seen one Streamlit app, you've seen them all. They all look the same. Like going to a temple, Japan or China. Once you've seen one, you've more or less seen them all. Maybe not the best analogy, but anyways, the plus side is Streamlit is very simple. So let me show you the app. So the top level app file that I have here. So here I'm just setting up state data. State in Streamlit is a little interesting, right? So it's basically a dictionary, and you're just pushing data into the dictionary or pulling it out. That is Streamlit's state management. So if you're used to really complex, really fine-grained control of building a web page, Streamlit will probably drive you crazy because there's a lot you cannot do. But if you're like me who just wants to deal with the data and I really don't care if this thing is really reactive, it gets the job done. It's great for prototyping. It's not great for any sort of production app. Like, I wouldn't recommend it for production at all. Okay, so to really run this app, like for example, instruction UI. So here, you just call Streamlit. So kind of the convention right now is you import Streamlit as st, and then you do an st dot the widget name. Right, so here, st title just gives you title. Actually, you know what? I could probably build. Okay, so bunch of widgets, and this is it, right? So if you put this here, it will just generate that title that you see right here. Right, that's this part here. So if I wanted to change that, I could do something else like st. What is subtitle an option? There's another text. Take this and kill this. We don't break anything. Oh, of course. Okay, so no subtitle widget. Let me just
Heading, maybe?
heading. Oh yeah, makes more sense. Run. No heading either. Okay. Right. Yeah. So yeah, you could put any sort of markdown here, and that would. Oh, yeah, so. Oh no.
Oh, in the actual.
Oh, heading. Right. So you can see where it's you can quickly create all these widgets. Right? Like this is just using another widget. You just pass in the text that you want. You can put in values, helper things. So it's got a kind of a set pattern. It's very easy to create this kind of look. So that was step one, right? Using Streamlit to build the overall interface. And of course, I mangled a bunch of the script data inside with the Streamlit, completely unusable. So over the last couple months, I pulled that out. I pulled the logic component, and I pushed it up as a open source package. Just called it Graph Data Generator. So the Graph Data Generator is the guts of my app here. So all it does is it takes a JSON file, right, the one that I demonstrated, and just generates mock data based on that configuration. And it just spits out one of three options, or a couple options. One is just CSVs. Another one is a package file of CSVs and JSON for upload into Neo4j through a special project, a special app. And then the last is that giant JSON dump that you saw. Okay, so to build this, right? So I had several projects. I had the Streamlit app, which was the UI interface. I had the graph data generator, which is the core guts. And then I also had a tiny utility that I just called Neo4j uploader. So all this does is it takes that JSON dump of records and runs the Python driver for Neo4j and uploads. That is super tiny. There's really not much to this app, but I thought it was useful enough to package it as its own so I can give it to coworkers and other folks like, hey, if you produce any sort of JSON data that meets the schema, you can now push it directly to a Neo4j database without implementing the Python driver yourself. So minor convenience. Anyways, so these two packages are being referenced in this package, right, the Streamlit one. And Streamlit gives you a couple different ways of doing dependency management that will work with its cloud instance. The one I usually use is pip env, but for packages, I prefer Poetry, right? Because Poetry, you can build the package and submit it super easy, like 2 calls. Poetry build, Poetry publish, done. Like every time I want to do an update, that's it. It's as fast as doing a git commit. So because I'm using Poetry for these packages, I also enable Poetry on this UI app. And to have Poetry reference a folder, like a package that you're working on locally, all you have to do is update, let me bring this up, is update the PyProject toml file, right? So here you can see, that here I'm referencing the PyPy versions of it. But if I wanted to, say, switch it back to my local instance so that I can basically work on this, update it, and before pushing the update to PyPy, what I can do is grab a path. I take this, and I go Poetry. Oops, not there. In the terminal, Poetry, add. So Poetry is a great package. I just don't know why they chose keywords that are different from pip and pipenv, right? Because pip and pipenv use the exact same syntax, install. But Poetry decided to be different, and they go add. And I think remove for deleting. Anyway, so it's add and remove instead of install, uninstall. Few characters less, maybe they consider it more efficient. Anyways, Poetry add, and this is where you would normally add a dependency call, right? Here, I'm going to add in editable.
Opinionated developer, so opinionated, like YAML on, or I think you created the toml file. That's why. That's why you could.
Okay, so he just decided to do everything differently. Okay, okay, that makes. Oh, do they? Oh, maybe, yeah. Okay, well. Right. Okay, well, at least it makes sense to somebody. Right. Okay, so you can see here, what it's doing is it's switching the dependency, and here it updates the toml file to point to my local instance here. So now I can monkey with this local version, and when I run this app, it will use the local version. And then when I'm done, I can switch it back to the Pi instance, or what I should do is have 2 different branches, one that references local and one that references. Anyways, it makes developing multi-component applications very easy. I'm big fan of this general process. The only downside is I have not been able to figure out why I can no longer push this Streamlit app up into its Streamlit cloud and have it work. Always fails now, even though I've got like a pip file, like a pip env setup. Something about this setup now makes it so my apps no longer run on their cloud instance. So this app only runs locally for the time being until I figured out what error that doesn't print out an error log causing the issue. My first guess is that Streamlit's cloud instance is using an older Python version. And so because I'm using the latest version, it goes like, I don't know what that is.
You can reproduce their environment.
Okay. I could probably just ask them too, like, which version would you like me to send up? Bring it all down to that. Okay, all right. I think that's enough of me talking. Any questions on this? Fish. Yeah, so like basically track the cipher calls I'm doing to push up.
Sort of like a version control back where each query reaches right, and you can roll it back.
Something could be built, but what I'm thinking is kind of hacky, right? Because Neo4j doesn't have an API for the community edition. There's an API for the enterprise edition. But even the enterprise edition doesn't have, I think, that feature that you're talking about. So you'd have to kind of build something yourself. So the kind of simple throw your head at the wall kind of approach would be every time you're doing this commit, you basically tag all the data, right? You add an extra property. That way you can find out like what was pushed when. And if you don't want that thing, right, you could delete that component, right? Super simple, super hacky, will likely fail when you really need it to not fail. But in the 5 seconds I've thought about it, that would be where I would start. So what was that? The error handler? Oh, yes. Arrows, yes. So Arrows app is available public just at arrows.app. And if you have... Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if... I have to take a look. Someone in the community might have built something like that, but I have yet to come across it. You know, now that I'm looking at you, if it hasn't been built yet, Vish, I know you can build it. Cool. All right. I'll hand this off to who's next? Who's the next victim?
Thanks. Oh, you just set it down. Oh, it's good.
All right. Thank you much.
Yep. So Drake, yeah, there you are. Yeah, Drake's next. Drake Redwind is going to talk to us about a step-by-step. Oh yeah, we should clap for you. Yeah, Drake is going to talk to us about a step-by-step guide to build a website in half an hour using Django cookiecutter. Half an hour, that might be. What did I say?
I okayed it before. I was going to do it for the New Zealand Python group,
Okay.
but no, only 2 people showed up to that one, so I'm going to give it next on top.
All right. Oh, I will help.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it should. You have HDMI, I seem to recall.
On the left here.
Yep. So it should just be. Oh, I see. Okay, we don't need this thing anymore, and we just need this thing, and then the magic should happen. I know that life.
While I'm setting up, I have my project on GitHub. So if anybody wants to go on to GitHub and take a look at it while I'm giving the talk, that's an option.
Is this the Red Window 1 Cookiecutter starter?
Yes, it is.
All right. Posted in the chat.
Just here. And then do I have to wear this or?
No, just leave it right there. It should be good.
All right.
Hey, you're up. Okay. Oh, are you use Wi-Fi for this?
I don't believe so. All right, so yeah, I just have to do the screen thing. Option, display settings. So instead of duplicate, very good. Ah, I guess I do need the Wi-Fi. I thought I had it in offline mode.
So it's yes.
Which network is it? Oh, I see.
It's gonna open up.
This one. Oh, I turned it off. There we go. Q guess. Connect.
Okay. And then it's gonna connect and it should pop a window to put a password in, which I will help you with because I have one for myself, and we will just. Oh, you can. It's a password that goes away after one day. So let me double check it. You agree to the terms of service, which I'm sure are terrible. And did I click that? I think I did. Okay. And hopefully the magic just happens. Not save that to last pass.
All right.
But good. Okay, you're good.
Okay, cool.
You're on.
Yeah.
Magic just happened.
Right. Going to do slide. And that's on the wrong screen. Presentation. Get rid of that. I know, right? Thought that was a way to make that bigger. Oh well. Get rid of this. Okay. So, hello everybody. I am Drake Redwind01, and today I'm going to talk with you about how to make a boss robust website using Django Fast, no fluff included. In this talk, I'll cover the following topics: cookie cutter setup, cookie cutter settings, Django API, and Django public HTML. Because I have an external drive, I first have to switch to my directory, then change CD or change directory into documents GitHub, then name my project, Redwind01 _ com. I like using the underscore instead of the .com. Messes me up. Cookie cutter starter, and put it into and then we're going to put in cookie cutter cookie cutter / cookie cutter / Django. Because I'm using a mini conda, I need to activate my environment named Redwind01 com. Now, this didn't work. Can anyone guess why this is, especially when we can see that it's listed here? I have already. Yeah. I have already created the virtual empire. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know either, because the TF activates when I don't have any conda preceding the command, as you can see here. Apparently, for some environments, you need to pronounce you are using conda. Maybe I haven't activated enough to just know. It's history.
A lot of other all at which
Interesting.
environment all create.
Ah,
Yeah, so
interesting. Cool. There's something interesting where every other slide is blank. I did not design it like that. That is bizarre.
what's this? You're using the highlight bar underneath.
It's Google Slides. I'm just creating a box. Yeah. But for some reason, in presenter mode, I have tried it at home, but every other slide is blank, which is sorry. Oh. So I guess I'm just going to have to remember to click twice instead of once. All right, so now some easy settings. Now that we put in the cookie cutter GitHub, we have the project name, the project slug, description, author name, domain name, and email. Just hit enter. Oops, that one didn't do that. Licensing. Oh, it's fine now. Username type, how people will log in. You can either have them log in using their username or their email. I guess you can put in the email, but if you do it with the email, it kind of makes it so that they have to put in their email. So Windows, if you're not using Windows, or if you're using Windows, yes. If not, no. Very easy stuff. Editor, none. PyCharm, VS Code. I'm using PyCharm. Docker, I'll be using this for the demonstration. So the reason I'm using Docker is for portability, consistency, scalability, agility, and some other benefits of Docker include isolation. Docker containers isolate applications for each other and from underlying operating systems. This helps to improve security and reliability. Resource efficiency and reproducibility, which is very important when you're working on a project with multiple people. So PostgreSQL version, PostgreSQL, PostgreSQL. I don't know how to say it. The who knows? Anyway, just hit enter and get the latest one. Get it? Get. Never mind. Continuing on, we finally have some more difficult questions, starting with cloud provider. We are given 4 options: AWS, GCP, Azure, or none. But for the purpose of this talk, we're going to be using none to make things a lot simpler. So continuing on, we have mail services. We choose other to make things as simple as possible. I don't have any preferences, so please try and sway me after the meeting. We use async. Turn this on to save on tons of cache. DRF, which is Django REST framework, a resounding yes. The Django REST framework's main benefit is that it makes serialization much easier. The Django REST framework is based on Django's class-based views. Therefore, we will be using Django's class-based views. Front-end pipeline. Again, no preference. Celery. Always yes. Celery is a distributed task queue that allows you to offload work from your Django app. It's a popular choice for handling long-running or compute-intensive tasks, such as sending emails, processing payments, or generating reports. Celery improves performance, scalability, reliability, and flexibility. Celery is also used for indexing search engines, transcoding videos, crawling websites, processing data streams. So yes, it's a must-have. Mailpit, no. But it's used for testing emails in development, sending emails from Django apps, receiving emails in apps, and managing email. Sentry, yes. Sentry is a tool for recording errors and keeping track of performance. It enables you to monitor both your app's performance and any faults that happen in your Django's application. White noise, always yes. It's used for static files, servicing static files from memory, servicing static files from Content Delivery Network or CDN. It's mostly used for .html, .css, and Java applications. So Heroku, another cloud provider that should have been with AWS, GCP, Azure, and CI tool, or continuous integration. My personal favorite is GitHub, so that's the one I'm going to be using here. So keep local envs and VCS. I'm saying no because I'm using an external environment, namely Docker and Miniconda. And finally, the last pre-setup question, debugging, yes or no. All I'm going to say is that if you put no for debugging, good luck. Okay, so with the last question answered, you hopefully got the success dialog. And with that, we can label the initial setup as complete. Intermission. Psych. Let's get on to the real coding now. Now that we have all that out of the way, it's time to actually start messing with real code. Yes. This is what you will see when entering your project for the first time. But there's a small problem here. Guesses? I know Jeremy already knows that. I'll give you a hint. It's in the tree. Nah, it's not, especially when you're using Google Slides. But I will tell you, the problem is that we have 3 of the same files. 1, 2, 3. They're all named the exact same thing. There should only be 2 of them. This has messed me up so many times. So we click on the pop-out option hamburger thing, then File and Open. Navigate to your project and select the second nested project name as highlighted here. Next, we are going to preemptively open Docker from the Start menu. And we can see my website, which I'm currently working on. Now you can see our local.yaml file highlighted in the left tree on the left. This is what we use to build our new instance of Docker for our website. We can right-click local.yaml, then hit run, or enter docker compose-f local.yaml up into the terminal. If all goes well, this is what the terminal will look like after a successful run. Right there. Down here, it says application startup complete. So I ran out of room on my computer, so I had to delete my site's Docker files to make room. Everybody say, "Aw." But that's okay, because using Docker, it's in the first place, it's easy to set up again. Just using the local up, or local YAML, local.yaml up. Now, to ensure it's running, we'll go to localhost 8000. Upon getting there, we are greeted with Django's welcome default page. It's not much to look at now, so let's change that. Now, this section is going to go by really fast, but don't worry. You can find the project in redwind01.com, or not .com, everything's scores. I'm just going to say it as dash, redwind01-com-cookie-cutter-startup repository. Or you can keep watching this video over and over again, adding more time onto my YouTube watch hours. Here, you can see how to start a new app with python manage.py start app, your app name, in this case, library. Next, we head to config/settings/base.py to tell Django there is a new app to worry about. Again, you can see the directory on the left and the code change on the right. Left, right. It's reversed for you because I'm up here looking at you guys. We also get to see the server carrying out various tasks. Step 3 of about 10 steps. They might have changed in the future. We head to library/models.py to create our first class books. And here we see them added. And the 2 imports, character field and positive small integer field, are added because they are They are invoked within our library class for book_title and ratings respectively. 4. Now, this one's a little tricky. We're going to have to make our own file named serializer.py in our library app. Just copy and paste as you see here. Step 5, use.py. Import our model and the model serializer that we just made, along with the rest of our view set. And as my Chinese teacher used to say, take it as a whole. I bet that you thought I was going to say something in Chinese. Wang diatai. Or forget about it. Literally meaning forget, lose, or fall, and it. But I digress again. Moving on. Step 6, the API router, apirouter.com.py, is in a config folder. That is a big difference, or this is a big difference from the regular Django models that you are used to seeing. Place them here in the config /settings/API router.py, urls.py, again in the config folder, and the books view sets gets imported at the top, always at the top, and the books view set goes down here with all the others. 8, admin.py. This is what adds the model to your admin panel to later edit it using the admin login. Very useful for changing any key differences. This is also the reason tech support doesn't need your password to make changes to your account. If tech support calls you and tells you to give them your password, don't give it to them. The easiest thing for them to do is to give you a temporary password, which you should definitely change as soon as you log in. I'd say take the list display method for the easiest time, rather than defining all the different fields you want to include, unless there are way too many fields that you don't care about. In that case, please do list all the fields you want to include. Step 9, finally, adding our HTML page. So we create a new template named library.html given directory, as you can see highlighted on the left. After having made our last changes to our models, we can now run make migrations and migrate, one right after the other. This is how it looks if everything turned out okay. Now, going on to localhost 8000 /API/library/books view set, as previously defined in our urls.py, we can finally see our book model API view set. APIs can be used for a variety of purposes on websites, including displaying dynamic content on a website, such as news articles, sports scores, or weather updates. Providing interactivity. APIs can be used to provide interactivity on a website, such as allowing users to comment on articles processing. Integrating with other services. APIs can be used to integrate with a website with other services, such as social media platforms, email marketing services, or customer relationship management, or CRM system. This can help businesses to streamline their operations and improve their efficiency. Even though we have all of this, we still don't have a way to log into our admin panel. That's why it says detail authentication credentials were not provided. So let's create a super user. We'll just run the long line of code in the terminal, and since you can't see it, it's docker compose -f local.yaml run -rm django python.py. Define our username, email address, password. Quick warning, you're not going to see your password as you're typing it in. This can be quite disorienting. But don't worry, it will want to see if you can type it in a second time. We are now able to finally sign in by going to localhost 8000 /accounts /login. This is a default for cookiecutter. I didn't have to make this. That's why we use cookiecutter. Enter our username and password. I'm in cybersecurity. Thank you. Django will then require you to use your email, but we aren't online, so how are we going to confirm our email? Any ideas? Yes. Yes. I found the easiest way is to do the Django logs, or if you did choose to use Mailpit, Mailpit is running on a different port. All you have to do is go to localhost that port in order to get onto your email page. So Docker, as you may, or well, as Jeremy knows, can handle all of our site's hosting needs, and therefore we can intercept the confirmation URL address by visiting Docker. It's almost like hacking. And here it is right here. So go ahead, click on the link or copy it and paste it into the browser. Now, click on the confirm button if you can find it. That was just to confirm our email, so log in one more time, and we are now logged in. And now, as you can see, we aren't seeing the warning anymore. Or after, or after, or after. So, using our new super user, we will log back into admin panel and add a new book. I have started to add The Phantom of the Opera, one of my favorites. But as you can see, we are told that our value has to be less than 32,707. This no doubt must have something to do with our model. This is our model with the ISBN number. The problem is that we are using a small integer. As you know, a small integer is less than 32,707. So let's change it to only a positive integer and try it again. Before we can see our results, we again need to run make migrations and migrate because we made changes to our models. Apparently that's the only thing. So if you change anything else on the site, you don't have to make migrations and migrate, but for the models, that's important. So you have to make migrations. As you can see, we re-entered all of our book details again. There we go. Now click save. And it seems our number is still too small. This time, it shows that it has to be less than 2,147,148,607. After a little research, we can see that a positive small integer is limited to numbers between 0 and 32,000 about, positive integers about 2 billion something, and positive bigger integer or positive big integer fields 0 to 1 quintillion 97,814,218,062,400. Then there we go. I'll spare you the make migrations and migrate, hit save, and now we can label the admin.py complete. But we are still unable to show this to the public. What we have to do now is create an HTML page for the public. So let's see how to do this. The 10th step, or maybe the first step, depending on how you look at it, is to add to our new .html page, which we will place in folder name, project name, /templates, /books.html, like so. So like so, before we check our work, we need to add our views.py, which will actually allow us to view it and reference it to our books.html. Last step is to tell Django how to find our new views.py and where they should find it. Here, you can see the import, where the import goes, and the page people can find it on. Now, let's check our work. And boom, the .html can be officially stamped as done. But it's missing all the details we put in, so let's go a few steps further. Let's add a little more to our script. But you can't see all of it, so let's expand it. Yes. There we go. You know the drill. Just add this to the books.html, and let's see how this changed. Great. Now people can see all the hard work you put in. Now, let's label .html as really done. But we are still unable to show this to the public. What we have to do now is to create the HTML page for the public. Oh, wait, we just did that. Just kidding. Now, as a special conclusion, I'm going to show you a way to view a Django website that I have never seen before. I've looked for it, can't find it. I have taken great pains in finding how each of these files fit together. Submitted for your approval, I show you Drake Redwind 01's The Graph of Django. Everybody say, ooh. What's more, this is how most people see a Django site, whether they realize it or not. But, as I have said, the best way to look at code is to sometimes, in spots, look at it upside down, like this. As you can see, the way that we connect these are going in the opposite way we generally choose to create a Django site, further proving my point. This is because, much like a house, we must lay the foundation before building on top of it. You can see the base.py points only to the library. Now the folder name, project name, templates, books.html could have gotten straight to the library views.py in one shot, completely bypassing the books list. But I wanted to show you the relationship, and now that I've done so, I can remove it. There. Perfect. Now, quickly, API router, URLs, and books.html all points to views.py, and views to serializer, admin to serializer, and serializer to models, and models to models, models to models.
Arrows are
Yes. Well, not just imports, but they're also foreign keys, because you're referencing your models to your models to your. He's a bit of a narcissist. So, this has been my presentation on how to make a boss robust website using Django fast, without the fluff. You can find the completed project on my GitHub under the name Drake Redwind 01. I'm still looking for work, so my 10% commission still stands for whoever helps me land a job. I know I now also have references available upon request. If you want to review the presentation again, the San Diego Python group has recorded it. You will also be able to view it on my channel, Drake Redwind 01. The San Diego Python group has a weekly meeting every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. PST, Pacific time. Also, look out for my site in development, which uses Django. All I need now is forms, save database export, import, payments, wallets, escrow, model constants, hiring people, auto bill pay, and to finally deploy it. It now looks like this, but I'm hoping that, or I want it to look something more like this in the future. This is something I just threw together using GIMP. And I'm currently interested in looking for investors into this so I can pay someone to help me to complete it so it can go by a lot faster. Incidentally, I made 30 websites during the course of my tutorial, defining a website as something you can log into and see a page. I'm Drake Redwind. Thank you for your time. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to take them now.
with your upside. Work with model, work with
I'm recommending that people do start with model. Yes, because yeah. So with this one, the serializers.py and the admin.py point to models as well as the library views, and as long as you have that relationship, you can go backward into your model. So if you do it the other way, your library model, since you have to import your models into your admin serializer and views, you can't jump back and forth. And so if you start with models, you can, I think it's control click to go back and forth because you have to import them. Yeah. And then it also goes the same with the API router and the URLs, but I'm not sure with the template books, with the .html, if you can control click and go back and forth. And then you have the library and the base.py over there in the corner because they, I don't know, they don't have anything to do with this part. Yes.
the use a tool that prompted you and asked you That tool?
That was the cookie cutter.
Cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Thank
That's actually how the cookie cutter does it by default. It was somewhere in the beginning here. I was a little too far in the beginning. Yeah. So as soon as you put in, let's see, where was that? The cookie cutter GH cookie cutter / where'd it go? That thing right there. I don't know. But as soon as you put that in, then this whole thing drops down, and the next field comes in as you answer them.
Made up my project. Process.
I don't think it does because I remember using pip freeze. It might, but I also might have used pip freeze after creating the project, so that doesn't really mean anything.
I think cookie cutter, you make it do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm using the default cookie cutter pattern. Yeah, I'm using the default cookie cutter pattern, and it's really nice because it just gives you all these things to put in, and then as you saw, it also gives you a login page, and with the DRF, the Django REST framework, it also allows you to easily add API using classes, which I used in the tutorial. Any other questions? No? All right, great.
Okay. Thanks, Drake. Jeremy, you're our last speaker. Jeremy is going to talk to us about several programming adjacent topics. Adjacent. All right.
Right. Let's see. Clear away. Huh. I wasn't one of those. Let's give me a chance. This. Round. I bet you. That. Aha. Now I see how this works. All right. So, let's see. My goal in this talk is to bring out a couple of topics that would be good for other talks. Let's see. We often have let's see, need for speakers to be able to talk about a range of topics. The Python user group, we're focused on making your lives better in any way that we can. Usually it's Python-based libraries or Python-based tutorials. I would like to broaden this out a little bit so that we can have talks of all types. I'm going to give a talk specifically about Electronic Frontier Foundation. It's going to be a little bit focused on that. At the very end, I'm going to throw in some extra, other focuses of talks that we'd like to hear about. These are programming specific talks that we could give, or workplace environment talk, those types of things. So, first of all, who are the Electronic Frontier Foundation? It's a group of lawyers that deal in technology-based topics. And so if it's the interaction of, let's see, political life, law, technology, let's see, they're going to be right in the thick of it. Some of the things that they care about are things like free speech, privacy, security. Let's see, how they come down on privacy and security. Let's see, that would be okay. All right. Anyway, would be another 30-minute talk all by itself. But let's see, creativity and innovation, transparency, as well as international law. So they're not just, let's see, stuck to any one state. They're not stuck to one nation. They work on internationally. They make sure that everybody's playing field is nice and balanced. So the efforts, regardless of any state law or, let's say, law status in any nation that they're working on. Things like they're working on network neutrality, which is making a comeback here in the United States because the FCC has just changed its membership. So let's see. Anyway, let's see. We don't have to worry about network neutrality here in California because that, as a state law, we already have it. But every place else can be or let's see, since there's no laws in place, there can be internet fiefdoms. So let's see, we have the Comcast area of the internet and the AT&T area of the internet and the Spectrum area of the internet. And if you want to get your packets through quickly through the Comcast or the AT&T sections of the internet, you might have to pay a little bit more. Let's say like big companies, things like Netflix, they might have to pay a little bit more to get their traffic through. It has been slowed down in the past by companies, but we want to make sure legally they can't do that. So that companies don't have to pay internet service providers for that fast access. What does that end up doing? That ends up saving us money. Let's see, because you don't have to pay more for the Netflix cost because they had to pay some certain state local internet service provider, that kind of thing, for their for fast traffic. Anyway, things like the right to reverse engineer. You should have the right to reverse engineer products that you own. That's, let's say, something that they're fighting for. Let's say, if your product goes out of warranty, you know, the iPhone 4S, let's see, is no longer supported. Let's see, my wife likes the very small form factor iPhone, and let's see, unfortunately, it no longer is. She's no longer able to get that one to work. So they've not supported it anymore. So she has to upgrade. Let's see, but she would have loved to be able to keep that small form factor. Or maybe it's something more important. Let's see, your pacemaker has gone out of warranty. Let's see, and let's see, there's a Bluetooth bug going around, and let's see, somebody could actually figure out how to Bluetooth or connect into your pacemaker and figure out how to kill you if this isn't patched. It'd be nice to be able to have access to that. So the right to reverse engineer is of grave importance to some people. So yeah, the ability for security researchers to report vulnerabilities to companies safely. Let's see, this needs to be protected. So if somebody finds a vulnerability and discloses it to a company, let's see, are they violating laws? Let's see, can the company sue them? Oh, you broke our software. Well, I'm trying to tell you about it before everybody else finds out about it. Anyway, this should be protected. So that's something that they care about. How about biometrics? Let's see, to be able to get into a laptop, you have to put in your thumbprint. How is that transmitted? Let's say you might have to do a facial scan using the video camera, that kind of thing. How is that information kept on your laptop? Or is it kept on your laptop? Does it send it out to a server out of somewhere? So, do not track. You've seen this on websites. The ability to not track you online through tracking cookies, that kind of thing. Border searches. What happens whenever you cross borders? How are your devices searched? Let's see. Face surveillance. How is that monitored? The right to record. Whenever you have any kind of interaction with police, you should be able to have that right to record in the interaction with any law enforcement. So, corporate speech controls. This needs to be monitored by watchdog groups like the Electronic Frontier Foundation. They also keep monitoring over people like imprisoned bloggers and technologists in order to make sure that they get the legal representation they need for their particular country. Creator rights and copyright, now including AI. So we have image creation software that is generating AI-based images off of copyrighted work. So how does that work? What does the outworking look like? What is the legal frameworks by which it can generate that art? So there's going to be a lot more lawsuits about that one up and coming. So guess who's going to be involved? Let's see. Election security, another one. How should your vote be cast? So what type of machine? Should there be a paper trail? Should, those type of issues. They care about each step of this operation. So, all right, after these laws get put in place, the change of the interpretation of the law becomes the game. So things like, let's see, the cases that the Electronic Frontier Foundation has gotten to be a part of. Okay, Apple versus the FBI. The FBI says, we've got a bad guy's phone, and we'd like to open it up. Apple, open it up for us. Apple said, no. We respect our customers' privacy. And they're like, come on. So there had to be a court case based on this. So the ATS system, Homeland Security has a threat assessment of every traveler. And it pulls from 7 databases. And it assigns you a threat score as a traveler. So EFF is a watchdog of this particular set of technologies. California Location Privacy Act of 2012. Should the police get location data on every citizen all the time? So this is something that they've been involved with lawsuits about. Network neutrality cases. The Geek Squad FBI informant FOIA, or let's say Freedom of Information Act requests. So we didn't know that the Geek Squad was working with the FBI for a long time until a couple of people got caught up in this in Dragnet. So if you went to get your computer repaired by the Geek Squad, they would, I'm not sure if it was send metadata or send data over to the FBI, but it was used as part of a Dragnet operation. So, anyway, that ended, but the lawsuits continued. So let's see. Federal DNA collection. There's going to be more lawsuits on this coming. So MPAA versus file sharing, oldie but a goodie. NSA spying on Americans. This is, let's see, another oldie but a goodie. Digital Millennium Copyright Acts. It's still up and running, so there needs to be lawsuits about the interpretation of this. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act is another big one. There's similar state laws, computer crime laws in many countries around the world. Those are laws that they get involved with. There's also software that they support. So things like HTTPS everywhere. This is something that's going to be sunset pretty soon because all the major browsers support HTTPS by default. Cover your tracks. This It does analysis of your online habits to help you defend your privacy. CircuitBot. There's a group called Let's Encrypt, and they have certificates, and they'll let you use their certificates on your website. So, surveillance self-defense. Sounds like exactly what it is. Security education companion. Here's how you can teach your friends and family about security online. So, educational materials. Crocodile Hunter. Your phone has to connect to a cell phone tower, but other people can set up something that looks like a cell phone tower closer and be like a man-in-the-middle type attack. Crocodile Hunter helps find those locations. There's an atlas of surveillance. These are law enforcement cyber techniques are used in which area. So what did the law enforcement have available to them in the state of California and specifically San Diego? What is used and what kind of things can they do? So, all right, but one of the best things that I think of that comes out of the Electronic Frontier Foundation is because the best defense of bad policy is being proactive. The ability for all of us to get involved in the policy or in bad policy being turned down before it becomes a policy that we have to then sue over. So let's see, get on their mailing list, please. Help whenever there's a policy that they say, hey, this impedes on your privacy, this impedes on security, and then they'll list out why they think it's a bad policy. They'll give you the text of the bill that's being proposed in the House or Senate, and they'll say, hey, this group has thought it out a lot better. You know, maybe it's the House or the Senate, and making sure that the changes that need to be made to the bills get made. Let's see, this is a very low volume group, so I've gotten messages maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. So it's not very much, but let's see. Under this section called Take Action, so there's an action center. So I want everybody to know about that one and get involved. So anyway, that is Electronic Frontier Foundation, a group that helps make sure that us as technologists don't waste our life with bad policy trying to enact it, because somebody's going to have to build these systems. Somebody's going to have to enact these systems. Somebody's going to have to then undo these systems if the laws change. So if we're proactive, we have to do less of that. Spend less time and resources. Okay, so that is all I'll say about Electronic Frontier Foundation until the Q&A session. So other topics that I would like to be able to see this group talk about are things like central bank digital currencies versus cryptocurrencies, the open ones. So Bitcoin and Ethereum versus the cyber dollar. I don't know if that's going to be the name that sticks. Does the federal government have or should they have the authority to make their own Bitcoin? If they do, can they control Bitcoin, or can they control it? If they do, do they put limits on it, like how much cryptocurrency there is in the market? If they grow or shrink the amount of cryptocurrency, they change the value of the currency. That's what they do now with the dollar. Let's say Bitcoin has been there's been a difference between that. Sorry, crypto. There's no more Bitcoin. Bitcoin. There's only like 21 million Bitcoin out there, and there will not be more made. So it's a fixed asset, kind of like gold. Anyway, I'm not going to get into spending a lot of time on these, but let's see. I would also like to see talks about coffee polyphenols and their effect on our brain. we drink enough coffee. You know what? It's a part of the Python user group. You know, okay. Chair ergonomics and companies that that bring us this type of satisfaction about that. Let's see. Comparing certification and credentialing institutions for programmers. It's kind of the Wild West as far as certification programs because the definition is changing of what a Python programmer needs to know. So, anyway, I hope this gives you topics that you might be interested in telling us about in future meetups. So far, any questions? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Why would anybody use put their sorry. Let's see. Reverse engineering. Let's see. A small part of the problem might be an easier way to deal with a problem than to build a new. Let's say, for example, the farmers are not able to get access to the software of their tractors. Say this has, it's kind of like having a car with the hood welded shut. So we need to be able to get access to these tools to be able to get in there and make the modification changes so we can keep these things running. Yeah. Whenever people open source software, I mean, the Linux operating system is open source. It's one of the most secure, but it's one of the most secure operating systems in the world. And yes, it's open and anybody can get it or get at the source code. But it's the number of eyes of the developers that are seeing this and being able to make changes that make it that way, that make it secure. So it is. You're right. It's open and completely vulnerable whenever it's first opened up. But you have to make it that vulnerable in order to be able to make change in any kind of broad, meaningful way. Yes.
There's more. The hackers are going to reverse engineer. So if you make it legal reverse engineer, have the good guys also, of course, actually modify and protect it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a chicken and egg problem. This is the group that deals with that. So let's see. Over my pay grade. Let's see. I am a programmer. Let's see. As far as what are the limits to the NSA's spying programs and how can they be utilized, I don't know. So I'm going to have to defer to people who know. Yeah. 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 Right. So your phone was in the area, and now you were connected to a cell phone tower at a particular time. The question is, are you going to be caught up in a dragnet, let's see, of a shooting that happened in a particular area? So, and let's see, it is, how would you use that effectively? And also, how would you maintain innocence until proven guilty? So, those are aspects that I would really like to explore.
You can look
Yeah.
to a key aspect is of all, if you have an algorithm like that, like whatever, you have to open it up to the public to actually expect that biases, like how well it does on African American faces, big faces
Yeah.
versus. So, EFF fights for those rights
Right.
to have access to the algorithm.
You and I know those particular type of issues as technologists who work in those spaces. Let's see, Electronic Frontier Foundation, they know this by this. The politicians, they don't know that there's a bias in, let's see, different colors of faces. And so in our data sets, and they just see it's facial recognition, and it works for me. Whenever I stand in front of my computer actually knows who I am. You know, let's see, or I can unlock my phone with my face, and so they don't see a problem with it, and so they don't see its warts, and so they make policy based off of overgeneralizations of its power. So, anyway, get involved in the action or under the take action section. Let's see. So there's that. Oh yeah. They, let's see. If you're going to the, what is it, Bay Area Linux group. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see. On the 27th, Berkeley Law Symposium, the power of state and law promoting racial justice in the digital age. Might bring up this facial recognition aspect of it. And Seagull, let's see, the Seattle GNU Linux conference, they're going to be there to be able to field questions if you're interested.
Yes. It's Corey Doctorow.
Yes.
He does some really.
Let's see, look at him. Let's see, he did some speeches over at DEF CON, several previous DEF CONs. So it's always fun to hear him. Let's see, that's going to be a EFF question. Okay, I'm not sure how they keep track of.
Corey
Let's see,
Doctorow publishes. Pass it on. All their services.
okay.
Like post. Whole infrastructure.
Okay. Let's see. In order to keep track of, let's see, changing legal landscape in various international or countries internationally, So, and states and localities here in the United States. That sounds like a daunting job. So I would like to know how they do that as well. I'm going to be out. Let's see. If you have any other questions, see me afterwards.
Thanks, Jeremy. That wraps up the meetup. I want to thank our sponsors, Qualcomm, JFrog, Tangible AI for providing pizza. I want to thank the speakers for giving us great talks tonight. And I will see you next month. Thanks for coming. All right. Yeah. That's okay.